Summerville has quickly become one of the top places that people move to in the greater Charleston area, but like anywhere, it has its own pros and cons. Today, we'll be diving into some of these pros and cons for the Summerville area, from things like the cost of housing, schools, traffic, things to do, and more. Make sure you stick around to the end so you can determine whether Summerville is the right place for you or not. Let's start with the good. The first pro of Summerville is that the cost of housing is far lower than that of the Charleston area. The median sales price here is $374,900, which is much better than Charleston County's median sales price of $560,000. This means that your dollars go farther in Summerville, so you get a lot more house and land for your money. If you're looking for a big house, you'll be shocked at what you can afford in Summerville versus areas like James Island and Mount Pleasant, especially if you're needing a big house with lots of bedrooms. Also, another great part of this is there's a large diversity of housing in Summerville. Summerville has pretty much anything from HOA neighborhoods with homes that are close together and newly built, to historic homes with guest houses to rent out, to homes that feel like they're in the middle of nowhere with a lot of land, and so much more. So if what you're looking for is hard to find in the Charleston area, you might be able to find it in Summerville. Summerville is a large area overall, so it lends to lots of different options. The next pro of Summerville is all of the amenities it has for suburban living. Everything you'll need is right around you with great retail and dining options. While this wasn't so true in the past, in recent years, more and more restaurants have been going into Summerville, including some of Charleston's top-rated restaurants that chose Summerville as their second location. These include restaurants like Hall's Chop House, Poogan's Southern Kitchen, Taco Boy, and more. The Summerville Historic District is what you think of when you think of Summerville. It's a beautiful area with older brick retail spaces with some awesome restaurants and boutiques. Then down the road, there's Nexton Square, which is a much newer development with things still coming in, which includes some of those top-rated restaurants I was talking about. Outside of these spaces, there are so many more stores and restaurants in the Summerville area, so you won't find it lacking in food. Although if you love the gourmet food scene and Summerville doesn't have quite enough, you're still within driving distance to downtown Charleston. Another pro about Summerville is there are a lot of great outdoor spaces. Most of the big neighborhoods have trail networks, open green spaces, and ponds to enjoy nature, but you're also close to Lake Marion if you like being near a freshwater lake. And then of course you're still within driving distance to the beaches if you're looking for a little more fun on the water. Some of the most popular parks in Summerville if you're looking for a fun green space are Azalea Park, Gahagan Park, and Shepherd Park. Summerville also has a lot of golf courses if you like being outdoors that way. The next pro for Summerville is the community style living. Here it is so easy to meet people because the relocation population has been booming. A lot of the neighborhoods are designed to bring people together with amenities like large clubhouses for gatherings, event lawns, and so much more. And like I mentioned, there are farmers markets, along with bigger events like the Flowertown Festival, which happens every April and is a huge festival with hundreds of local vendors to celebrate the spring season. The fifth pro for Summerville is the highly rated schools. Summerville is home to some of the top rated schools in South Carolina. Now, your criteria for a school may differ from someone else's, so I definitely recommend doing some of your own research on what you're looking for in a school for your children, but many families find that Summerville and Mount Pleasant are very competitive when it comes to the schools. One problem about the schools, however, is that they can tend to be overcrowded. With so many people moving here and wanting to attend these schools, overcrowding has become an issue, and in fact, some school zones have been redrawn. So just keep that in mind if schools are an important part of your home search. So we've covered some of the fun things to do in Summerville, like the events, restaurants, and community living, but now let's get into some of the cons. The first con, which might not even be a con for you, but it's farther from downtown and the beaches. Depending on where you are in Summerville, because like I said, it's a large area, you could be anywhere from 30 to over 60 minutes to the beaches in downtown Charleston. Some people find that an hour to the beach is no problem because they don't plan on going all the time, but for others this could be a drawback because you're not just a short drive away from the beach. And if you're working in downtown Charleston, the half an hour to an hour commute might start to add up. The next con for Summerville is that it's getting pretty developed. While there are still some areas that feel more rural, the main areas of Summerville have become pretty crowded, and you'll experience, like I'll talk about in the next con, some traffic. It seems that every few months a new development is coming in where they clear cut all the trees to make room for the multifamily or single family housing going in. This development does not seem to be slowing down. So for some, it could feel like the charm of Summerville is slowly being stripped away. The third con, which is closely tied to the second con, is the traffic. Like everywhere in Charleston, Summerville has plenty of traffic of its own. The commute, if you're driving from Summerville to Charleston and back to Summerville every day, gets really bad as so many people are in the same boat as you. So while a drive would normally take, 20 minutes to get somewhere, it could end up taking you 40 minutes and double your drive time. There are certain roads that are worse than others, so you'll learn how to avoid those, but sometimes it's inevitable, and traffic, of course, is never fun. The next con is specifically if you're looking for new construction. If you love the look and feel of new construction, but you're wanting a bigger lot, it can be a little harder to find. Most of the new construction has a bit of a cookie cutter feel, nothing wrong with that, and the lots tend to be less than 0.2 of an acre. With new construction, it's also harder to find places with no HOA, if that's what you're looking for. Of course, there are plenty of options outside of the new construction neighborhoods, like in historic Summerville, but those also tend to come with a higher price tag. And lastly, for the cons for Summerville, it shares some of the same ones as Charleston in general. We have hot, humid summers that can be much more unbearable than our mild winters, along with bugs like mosquitoes and annoying gnats. But Summerville is more inland, so you are less prone to major damage if hurricanes come along. Although I always recommend flood insurance and a good homeowner's insurance policy just in case. Now don't forget you can reach out to me here by phone or email, but if you're thinking about moving to Charleston in general, here are the 9 surprising regrets of moving to Charleston in 2024. Thanks for watching!